Rev TV brings the world of motorsports into your home with over 100 live race series such as MotoGP, IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, Extreme E, World Superbike, and the newly launched all-electric E1 series. From 2 wheels to 4, from land to sea, your destination is Rev TV.
Live from Fontana, welcome race fans one and all back to Green Flag TV, where this afternoon we are set to duke it out with a stacked grid here on the West Coast. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the High Tide Racing League Premier Series presented by Ohio and Indiana Roofing. My name is Little Ramble alongside Justin Prince. We bring you all of racing action from here, start to finish, of this 250-mile race at Auto Club Speedway. Justin, from the high banks of Daytona to the lower bank track here in Fontana, but it is no less high of a speed, and with 40 cars, a bigger grid than we had at the Sunshine State, this race is going to be a wild one.
This is going to be a busy night, to say the very least, for these competitors. Multi-groove racing likely on the docket. You're going to have to move around to be able to search for grip, but quite figuratively and literally, though, this is going to be a marathon, a big challenge for plenty of these drivers. This is not an easy racetrack to drive when it comes to the Gen 4s, and it's a part of what is a busy start to the calendar because you have this 2-mile circuit before a stretch of tough short tracks and plenty of 1.5 miles as of the next few weeks.
We swing from Auto Club just a couple states over to Nevada, where we'll go racing at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Then, of course, to Concord at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And then back-to-back for the first road course race and for a short track race, kicking off December with Bristol and Watkins Glen. And then, of course, Texas Motor Speedway going to be the final race in 2025. And after a couple weeks break for the Christmas holidays, we'll pick it back up at Kansas in January, with Pocono and Dover taking us well into the new year. So plenty of racing yet to be had here over the course of the season, and it's a very high-speed start to the season because out of all the tracks you get on the IRC service, the first 4 are some of the fastest oval tracks you can get on the service.
Absolutely. Speeds of more than 200 miles an hour are expected tonight, and it's not going to be single file when it comes to Auto Club Speedway, mind you, this evening either. These drivers will have to search around, find their better lines here, be able to carry momentum forward if they want to make passes, especially as well with how difficult this will be. Long run to battle with these tire temperatures going to spike up as well. These tires are going to wear a fair bit, Nolan. This is a track in real life that's seen plenty of fall off.
Oh, plenty of fall-off indeed, and while it may not be present in the real world anymore, that fall-off is still present even in this preserved virtual version of Auto Club Speedway. It's a pretty cool track out there, right? Of course, we are in the middle of November, even in sim. 80 degrees Fahrenheit on the racing surface compared to 78 in the air, and with this race being about 3:30 in the afternoon, could look to potentially be getting one of our first ever daytime races that this league has had at Auto Club Speedway. Traditionally, these races are run right in the sunset and straight through under the cover of darkness.
Going to make things interesting if we do get to that point already. The sun a bit lower than you would expect, but it is 3:30 in sim already in the midst of the final warm-ups here tonight. See where things fully transition for this evening's festivities. But quite simply, I think the major thing is going to be, can you use the top line when the time comes when tires transition? And can you find a way to be able to make passes? There is a fair amount of momentum you can carry on the outside, especially down the front straightaway here, which could see things become pretty difficult to pass, but it is a driver-intensive track. Despite being a 2-mile circuit, you have to be able to control the tires, you have to be able to manage some of the draft, you have to have good track position if you want to, say, compete for a race win tonight.
Before we get to the starting grid this afternoon, going to thank, of course, the guys to get the lights on here for the High Tide Racing League. Ohio and Indiana Roofing is a premier roofing contractor, a sister company to the Bruns Construction Enterprise. They specialize in commercial and industrial roofing and are committed to accommodating the unique needs of each client and offering creative solutions to meet those needs. They're a team of individuals who work for the same common goals: professionalism, quality, and service. Services they offer include preventive maintenance, re-roof, new construction, infrared scanning, green roof solutions, metal, retrofitting, emergency repair services, and more. Please visit www.oiroofing.com for more information. All of that is going to take us to the end of the 10-minute warm-up session here this afternoon. And, well, it is time to see who is going to start where. 40 cars have qualified. And for the main event tonight, 125 laps, 250 miles, and it starts with defending champion Jaden Hobb rolling on out from pole position. Alongside him, the Season 1 champion, Benjamin Lacey. Back on row number 2, it's Ty Marasco and his teammate Dalton Kilrow blocking out the second row. Zachary Wareham for Garden Amsoil Racing starts in 5th alongside David Lakey in 6th. Row 4 in the grid, Tanner Marr and Nick Nickerson running the old Rusty Wallace colors down in 8th. And then rounding out the top 10, Jeremiah Hobbs and Kyle Wellman.
Behind them in the order, it's going to be Michael Thorpe Jr. His 34 car starts alongside John Osborne, 77. Then following behind, row number 7, Scott Schuler. Start next. Now we'll see Larry Bell next to him. 14th spot for the car, number 43. Scotty Stevens appears in a Rusty Wallace throwback from 15th. Michael Ramos comes off the success at Daytona with a mid-pack start. He'll start 16 2/10 off the pole. It's a tryout time for James Yerger. That was one of the descriptions from Jaden Hopp and Company. If you want to be on a team, you have to perform. Then you have Paul Satmary, who will be next to him in 18th position. Rounding out your top 20, Austin McGill and Kevin Foster.
Row number 11 on the grid, it's Connor Gibson alongside Carter Phillips, and then back to row 12. You got Ryan Philbrick and Sean Williams. Row 12, Wyatt Walker starts alongside Ethan Sikorsky, and on row 13, it's Nicholas Coruscant and Bob Berry. Rounding up the top 30, Jason Raymond, one of many rookies entered today. He starts alongside Jonathan Canfield.
A lot of new drivers here today. One of the drivers who missed Daytona was supposed to have a provisional was Daniel Rupek. He'll start 31st. John Walker, one of 3 walkers in the field tonight, will start 32nd. 33rd goes to Dustin Payne. William Clapp looks to clap his way through the pack from 34th. 35th position goes to Christopher Mixon, another rookie. Ryan Walker starts in 36th position. Whereas the drivers have been set times, it is Eddie Mangigi will start in 37th. Sean Britt starts in 38th. Colin Clemens starts 39th. Mike Massengill, 10th start 40th. Of note, the 71 is not on the grid and not in session for the start.
And all of this takes us around to the start-finish line here this afternoon. As always, we are happy that you are joining us for more racing action here on this stellar Monday night. The field going to work their way into the Geico restart zone, and as the lights flick on over the Auto Club Speedway, it's time to go, go, go in California! And trouble back straightaway already. Multiple cars spinning down to the inside of the racetrack. It's about a 5-6 car pileup. Caution comes out for the end of lap number 1. And quite a few of the rookies are caught up in this one as well, Justin. Scotty Stevens, James Yerger, Coruscant, Satmary, and more all involved. Lakey has just lost the wheel in turn number 3.
Look out for that tire. Don't leave me loose wheel, as the song says. But for many of these drivers, it's worse fear to have a caution up from the start. The trigger, I think, was Kyle Wellman, though, because on cold tires, one of the things that can happen, your car can snap around and bounce around. I think that may have just happened and really sparked what could be one of the bigger incidents of the night. You also said you were expecting chaos tonight. Well, we're seeing the chaos in his first 30 laps for the trend again.
Well, there you see kind of already in progress. Kyle Wellman definitely way out of shape, and then just stacked up into David Lakey, and it's on from there as the 0-2 That old Rusty Wallace car that you pointed out getting punted around. There goes Paul Satmary. Man, the 40 car, Nicholas Corazon, nearly got shot upside down, and then somebody's going to spin down and almost actually does get in to the inside wall.
Couple hard licks, Yerger. Well, that tryout to try and see if he can attract a team, not going well here. You can see right here, just hard to be able to find a place. Some drivers are on the brakes here too, and then the incident just lands on top of them. There's not much you can do when you have cars just come right down the track and slam into your door. Mike Matzico, I think, just got through all of it cleanly, though, and picked up 9 spots with the chaos, going from essentially 39 to the least, the back of the mid-pack.
And now that is a sight, Justin, I've never seen before. A wheel bouncing all the way down to the inside. Of course, that's commonplace in the real world, right? But on iRacing, that's a new one for me.
Surprised it disappeared near immediately. Surprised no one hit the tire.
Yeah.
But at this point, we've seen some crazy things, and a lot of people are going to have mandatory damage repairs already here, Nolan. And there are no fast repairs, remember, in high tide. So for a lot of these drivers, that could potentially be some race enders already. We've already had at least 2 to 3 drivers park it.
One of those is rookie Ryan Walker, a part of what started to become a Walker dynasty over at G&W Racing. John Walker, of course, the eldest of the 3, fathering Wyatt Walker. Ryan Walker, the nephew of the family. And unfortunately, Ryan Walker, well, is the first of the trio to be out of this race here early on. Several rookies we talked about, Justin, earlier in the field. Obviously, we got 2 of the Walkers. Daniel Rupek, who had that provisional at Daytona, was not able to race. James Yerger, a familiar name to Saturday night racing fans who tune into the SRA on a regular basis. And then Scotty Stevens, William Clapp, and Christopher Mixon, 3 of the other drivers that have not made starts so far in high tide racing competition, despite a good chunk of the rookies out at Daytona just a week ago. So quite a bit of fresh blood here in the field, and hopefully that's not going to cause too much issues, considering there was a serious veteran that triggered this first yellow flag.
Yeah, I think there were some calls on the radio to keep it calm. We just started this race kind of discussion, but we still have a long way to go. 125 laps on the docket tonight. Plenty of pit stops to be in the strategy game. 80% fuel tanks also to factor in. So it's not going to be as simple as just a couple stop, or you might have an additional stop mixed in there just because of the 80% cap where you can normally go around 45 laps. That's going to be a little bit more tighter on the belt. I'm very curious, though, who's going to be able to race up at the front as tonight plays out, though, Nolan, as the evening progresses, because you have drivers like Hop that are going to be up here. You have drivers like Lacey that have been very competitive when it comes to some of the oval experience in various different series. I'm expecting them to be very strong tonight once things stretch out.
Some of that cloud cover that we saw starting to fade away as the sun pokes back out for a little bit over Fontana. Jaden Hopp, the defending champion, did not have a good start to his title defense at Daytona. In fact, getting off to one of the worst starts you could possibly hope for, finishing his race 6 laps down in 25th, hoping to recover and bounce back in his championship bid. Ty Marasco making short work of 3rd place as he has put himself into 2nd. Jaden Hopp has chosen the outside lane for the restart, and the green flag coming back out this time by.
That Marasco timed it up very well, but no one else behind him did. A lot of stacking up in the middle of the pack there to force the 2-3 wide. But that was well timed by the one machine to try and battle things up front. Off trying to run the top, says, you want it so bad with that good run? I'll let you try and take it, but I'm just going to take it from the outside.
Look.
Caution.
Oh, man, again, another yellow flag coming out, and this one is for William Clapp, one of the drivers making his High Tide Racing League debut here this afternoon, and potentially another driver caught up behind this as well. Is that going to be James Yerger, another driver making his debut this afternoon?
Yeah, he was already involved in the first incident. Looks like might have troubles in the second one. He was at the tail end of the field too. Leads to a long push. I think he checked up for the incident more than anything else. But for Clapp, quite simply, just self-mistake. Drove low on the bumps and just carried a little bit too much speed. Just snapped around on him as he went through the throttle, coming off of turn 2. And around it goes like a boat.
Good job on the number 8 car back there, Kevin Foster, for getting around that unscathed. Could have been a pretty nasty hit there. Tell you what, 360 slide. Pulls it up underneath him. Not bad for a recovery. It's just a shame it puts us under the yellow flag for the second time tonight.
Yeah, good job to be able to avoid collecting anybody else. This will allow a lot of people to get the repairs done. Some of them drove into pit road and repaired it for more than 2 minutes the previous caution, but the time of the caution was big for Marasco. He gets to control the field here for the next restart. Didn't get passed by the scoring loop by Jaden Hopp because of the time of the caution flag. So his good start and that run he took at the bottom of the racetrack, Nolan, was perfect, or at least the time of things there.
So the field going to continue to work their way around, and I think it's pertinent mentioning, as you see William Clapp missing a stall and having to reverse back into it, but this is how quite a few of the Auto Club races over High Tide Racing League's extensive history have panned out, right? Quite a few cautions in the early running, especially in the opening third or so. Once we get a couple laps under the belt, though, they can go pretty long under green flag conditions, and it was actually in the old Gen 4 cars that saw one of the cleanest races here at the Auto Club Speedway. So I think these guys can do it. They just gotta, I think, potentially weed out some competitors and then get some separation going.
Yeah, I think so. This is a racetrack which, in most leagues that I've called throughout the years, can see long green flag runs. But when you have chaos, the chaos strikes big here. Just quite simply, just with the positioning of how the corner exits can play out, especially off turn 2. Seen a lot of chaos coming down the front stretch. But this is an opportunity for some drivers here with how things are going to try and prove themselves tonight with a good start to their seasons, who weren't a part of the Daytona Madness and had a hard time there. So quite simply, if things calm down, the true driver skill is going to come out here. Marasco choosing top.
Interestingly enough, I believe I just heard Jaden Hopp putting the clutch there down the front straightaways. So we're not even 10 laps deep, and already we have fuel games being played under the yellow flags here. I mean, save a bit of fuel while you can, I guess. Try to stretch a run. Maybe he's trying to hit a number. Thinks if I get enough yellow flags, I can potentially cut out a fuel stop here near the end.
I think it's part of the usual caution procedure to just hold in the clutch and save the gas. That's not my major concern. You do that any time, it helps with the engine temps, but also helps with the fuel mileage to make sure you save that extra bit of gas during the pace laps by an extra couple tenths of a gallon. So I don't think that's the biggest of concerns. My thing is going to be how far this fuel run gets pushed because of all the caution flags we've gotten so far here, Nolan. If we keep on getting cautious precautions, eventually they're going to have to top off here, or that entire fuel window just keeps on moving further and further along, since in theory you end up having half the fuel burn at least under a pace lap compared to a green flag lap.
So far have not managed to complete a single full green flag lap, green flag running. Heck, we haven't even been able to get half of a full green flag lap in yet, but it's still early. Lap 9 of 125. Look out, the outside lanes check it up pretty big. I think some guys in the back think they might be going already, but they definitely were not. They avoid disaster. Green flag is out, and racing action continues. Never mind, we got cars, 3 of them, into the infield already. And this time, we're not even going to make it to turn 1. But so far, no yellow.
No yellow, I think, just based on the positioning of where they are on the racetrack, but no one else around. I'm surprised that Emperor and Alto, quite simply a stack up there, and hearing some drivers did pick up black flags from that big stack up, including Yerger from his debut. That's really broken things up at the back of the field. Everybody else here trying to test out the raciness as all black flags get cleared.
I feel like that's the right call. A lot of those black flags would, of course, be for illegal overtakes before the start-finish line. But, I mean, what are you supposed to do if the car in front of you goes spinning, right? Just slam on the brakes and wait for him to get himself sorted?
No, you can't really do that, absolutely. But it's 3 wide for the race lead. Marasco trying to run the middle. Oh, caution again.
Who had the lead? That's the big question.
Marasco.
And I have a feeling that yellow flag is for the start-finish line incident, because there is typically a rule, right, where if the crash involves 2 or more cars, they will manually deploy a yellow flag. A little bit late to the call, about a lap late, in fact, but I feel like under normal circumstances, that's a very obvious yellow flag in most things.
That wasn't a manually caused caution. That was actually William Clapp again.
Oh.
Who actually brought it around. This was the stack up that should have been the first caution in the sequence. Yeah, 20 was around on the racetrack. 4 or 5 cars around. I'm surprised that didn't trigger the yellow immediately.
You'd think it would, right? And then this will be the moment with William Clapp, what actually brings the yellow flag out.
I think Clapp needs to tighten this car up, quite simply. You can see him already loose in progress. Again, this time from the high side. This is open setup. You can make tweaks to your setups before coming into tonight or have your setup built up. Whatever setup they have in that 04 machine is really loose in the first few laps.
The logic of that being a yellow flag, but the 5-car pilot not being, is impeccable to me.
That's the tough thing in that circumstance where you never know what's going to happen in terms of that. Again, the reason the 04 had this, the caution was there were cars still around at the time of the slide with the speed on the racing surface, I think.
And that car just kind of shot around, didn't it? I mean, looking at it again at speed there, that's a weird one. You'd think he had gotten hit with how quickly that back end swung around on him.
Yeah, second spin of the race, and a lot of people already coming down and topping off here, or coming down for additional repairs. Some drivers already put all 3 caution flags. They've continued to snowball here in the early stages here.
Well, we managed to get a lap in of green flag running, but we did not manage to get more than 1 lap, let alone 1 fully up to speed lap. And Carter Phillips missing his stall by several spots, in fact, having to reverse back and in a few times to correct. So that's a pretty devastating mistake for him. How much do you reckon the 04's issues are a result of needing to tighten up the car? And how much do you think it's from severely underheated tires? Because it's pretty cold out there for a California afternoon.
I think it's mostly cold tires, if anything else. Just the tire pressures are lower. It takes a few moments, like about 3-4 laps, green flag run laps to really get them up to temperature usually. So I think it's more so that. Because with the cooler temperature, it's also, I think, though, just how they chose on the setup here. Because when it comes to track temperature side, if you were expecting the temperatures to, say, be a little bit higher by 10 or 15 degrees, and you built your setup based on a hotter track or the iRacing defaults usually, which would be around May, there's a lot that can be factored in that discussion point here, Nolan, and you have to be able to know how the car's going to feel in these cooling conditions. So there is that part of the mixture too.
Well, and that track is going to get significantly colder, I reckon, before the day is out. Right now, sitting at 4:03 p.m. in sim time. Sunset for today expected to be in the realm of 4:55, give or take. So this track's not going to get any hotter. 2 cars with black flags. Paul Satmary, possibly for entering a closed pit road, if I had to guess, and Bob Berry. I'm not sure what Berry's before. Unsafe pit exit, if I had to guess.
Possibly. He's already towards the back of the field in the first place, multiple laps down. That's not a major turn here. But at this point, Marasco has stayed in front the past 2 caution flags, barely, just barely. Jaden Hopp seems very quick here, but also some good runs by Wareham, built up right before the caution flag, utilized at an outside line. Do we see that again with more 3 wide for the lead?
Still looking to get more than 1 green flag lap at a time, and we will now be on to lap number 14. The iRacing pace car will once again make that sharp left-hand turn into pit road. And we will get set to try it again. Ty Marasco this time with that 3 wide passively right at the buzzer. Takes the green flag, and we rock it back down to turn 1. Jaden Hopp and Hop pursuit.
And again, the outside line getting the better jump as a result. The control car being up there. Hop likes to use that outside, build up momentum, wind it on up to try and have a chance. That's why people use that high line. Look at how much the 00 gets from it.
And he's going to go right down the inside into turn numbers 3 and 4. Now he's got to be careful that Ty Marasco doesn't try to do the same, because Hop's going to slide all the way up towards the outside wall with that very shallow entry. And Ty Marasco trying to use the momentum to charge after him, but Jaden Hopp able to get a better run coming out of turn 4. They're 2 wide for second, and behind 3 wide. Multiple rows deep entering turn 1.
Now, a lot of people trying to make up some ground here. A lot of different strategies here too as a result of all the repairs done so far. Bill Brick, still not with some of the repairs done, but is one of the drivers already up 9. You also have the 97 up there in this fight. Several others, 24 spots, for example, the 97. Wyatt Walker up 14. A lot of big gainers here that are going to have to make up a lot of spots if they want to have a chance to contend later on tonight.
Boy, they are going at it right now, aren't they? As they are 3 wide, 2 rows deep. Caught in the middle is Jeremiah Hobbs trying to find a way to escape this jam up here. They can't really find much of a hole. The 45 of Wyatt Walker trying to clear him down low, just across the nose, and is going to get the job done. Right behind them, a big shot for the 49, and now the 32 getting sandwiched right in the middle of this one here. That Tide car not having much luck, and that 32 is actually scored as the 06. That's why filming it sideways goes Dustin Ping.
A little bit too hard there on the push, only a little bit of rear end damage, believe, on the 81. That's a tough thing. When you cross the seams, this car has the potential to bounce around and snap around. You have to be careful. Those seams are a couple feet deep.
Well, for the time being, they're able to keep it out of each other, and this is the type of racing that we wanted to see. Close quarters, aggressive, but so far keeping it clean. Sean Brent, in his first ever racer back in season 1, was slammed into the outside wall to the back straightaway and got punched in the back so hard that the car lifted up off the ground and nearly did a full front flip endo at this racetrack. He's trying to see if he can have a better outing than in season 1. He's right now fighting for 16th.
Yeah, you see some of the people already trying the high side of the racetrack.
And around it goes! Caution comes out. Sean Brent into the outside wall. Kind of clipped the wall on entry, and the back end swings around. And late comer to the race, Jonathan Canfield will be the driver that noses it into him. Caution number 4 coming out quickly, and this one was all self-inflicted from that number 55.
Another chaotic moment yet again. If your car's too loose, that can happen. I think he was already scraping the wall in the first place. May have cranked the wheel a little bit as he was trying to get out of the wall. That car just sailed away from him after he tugged the wheel probably, and around it goes.
Man, that's a hit that the 16 took there. Just nowhere to go for Jonathan Canfield as he arrived on scene late and pile drived into the door of the 55. Right on board with Canfield. on the brakes, but just can't do much when you're going that fast around here.
Bit of target fixation here too, absolutely. As soon as you see him going around, starts to lock up and starts looking to the target in front, aims directly at it. That's something you learn in driving school, is to look where you want to go. And in that case, he was looking straight forward and the 55 was there.
That's a lot of damage on the nose of Sean Britt's car. Jonathan Canfield faring a little bit better, but at least Sean Britt's got some airflow going into the radiator. Canfield doesn't really have that with that front end damage. Granted, with the low air temps, I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem here. Sean Britt can't really say the same. He's going to have a lot of air problems, and he's going to need to come down and get that fixed.
At this point, as we come and get the repairs done, it looks like Zachary Wareham saying, I've got to come down and get some fuel at some point here with the way the math goes. So coming in, topping off, trying to get some quick service here. Not sure if he's going to use a tire set or not. We've ran a ton of heat cycles. It looks like yes, indeed. So this field's going to get scrambled up a fair bit as a result yet again, because the caution precaution roulette.
So far, the top 13 and 17 have all not come down pit road. Out of the drivers that did come down pit road, Sikorsky and Rupek came down the furthest bit ago, all the way back on lap 3 of this race. Some of the late comers include Ramos, Satmary, Foster, who came down under the last caution, Corcel as well. These guys are dropping like flies. We had 40 that were set to start. Only 39 actually took to the green flag, because Wyatt Walker obviously did not make it in time. And right now, we've only got 31 circulating. We still got over 100 laps to go.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's still a long time to go in this race. There's still a lot that can happen. When you have this much chaos, there's so much that can pop up here. And quite simply, if you want to have a true shot to be able to win this race, you have to be so careful in the long term. And we're seeing just how difficult it is around here to be able to keep it clean with these cautions, precautions. It's just part of the nature when it comes to this racetrack, to say the very least, to see this point of chaos really, truly pop up right here.
And it's not even drivers getting over-aggressive with one another, I would argue, because 3 of the 4 cautions we've seen, well, the guys lost it by themselves.
Exactly. In many of these cases, this is down to the drivers being a little bit over-aggressive in some of the cases. In error cases here, it's been just not paying attention on the restarts. There's been so much in regards to that here tonight. Now, at this point, you have to be able to steady down, get calmed down here at this point if you want to have a chance.
Defending Jaden Hopp and Ty Marasco. Out of all the movers and shakers this race, they have been the 2 constants. Restarting this race every single time from the front row. Sometimes Marasco in front, sometimes Hopp. And other drivers like Lacey, Kilroe, Thornton, Marr, they're going to be looking to try to find ways to get to the front, because every caution that comes out, I'm sure the aggression grows a little bit more, because drivers start to get frustrated and think, well, if this is how it's going to be, I got to make up as many spots as I can before the next yellow comes out.
Yep, we're going to have to keep an eye on how this restart plays out here in the next moment or so, to say the very least. Will we see an error stack up yet again? Ty Marasco has been able to lead the majority of the laps with 12 so far, but it's going to be Hopp on the jump.
Caution number 4 draws to a close as Jaden Hopp takes to the turn number 1, and Tanner Marr trying to get the elbows out as Marasco going to be moved back into 3rd. Marr trying to push up from the inside. He clears Marasco. Marasco will try to get the drive back around him, but so far no dice down the back straightaway.
Nothing doing so far, obviously, early on in the run. These drivers, though, you can just see Marasco in particular try to set them up a little bit loose again for Marr.
Well, they're trying to wreck, aren't they? 3 wide now for 2nd place. Ford caught in the middle, Marasco up top, and it's going to be Tanamar that actually lifts down to the inside. Did not want to have any part of that entering turn number 1, and that lets Thorpe move into second place for the first time today.
Yeah, Thorpe amongst the drivers that I know wanted to do well tonight based on some of the conversations with the competitors. He's got the confidence to be able to slice through this pack. But the more they battle, the more Jaden Hopp with the Nexus power underneath him is going to get the chance to run away. How about 1.2 seconds up? He's broken any potential draft. He is right now the fastest car by far here.
And critically putting in the clutch entering turn number 1. So Jaden Hopp has found something here with that clutch pedal, possibly saving some fuel. I think at this point in time, more trying to see if he can use that clutch to help rotate the car on corner entry.
Yeah, at this point, I think he's just thinking big picture on the fuel strategy, to say the very least here in parts. But at this point, everybody's going to have to start thinking about that, since the estimated window already about halfway through with all these caution flags. So all those numbers get jumbled up, and how things calculate for later on today are going to be a little bit of a scrambled mess here, where all those lap counts that they probably estimated their pit stops to be going to be skewed apart by all those drivers who had to take stops. And some of the drivers like Hops, though, going a little bit high. Hop nearly hit the wall.
Yeah, Jaden Hopp's got to be careful. One mistake, and that 00 will find itself being sent back towards the tail end. And, well, one thing he doesn't have to worry about is all the side-by-side taking place up the road. I think Dalton Kilroe just got a bit crossed up because there was a lot of smoke, and now Kilroe is slow on the front.
Oh, that's not great there for Kilroe. One of the drivers that had a chance last time out got a little bit loose coming off the corner yet again. Was able to hold on to it with a little kick out. That's the best drivers are able to handle that car control. It's about making sure you're able to manage that from the bottom. That can happen a fair amount down there, while the outside can have a fair amount of potential hitting the wall.
Well, the sun growing closer and closer to the horizon as the side-by-side action continues to develop deeper in the field. Some drivers like Thorpe started to break away from cars behind them. Thorpe has built up almost a half-second gap to Benjamin Lacey, so he is doing quite a good job on trying to pull a gap here on Lacey. And sooner or later, the glare that drivers are going to be seeing coming down into turn 3 is going to become a major, major factor. In fact, it's already started to become an issue.
Now, this lap traffic could become a major part of today if they choose the wrong lanes here, absolutely. But that visibility as well with the sunshine can be a difficult thing. We're seeing already in some of the corners here. A bit of glare to your eye. Not much you can do except, well, block it out as much as you can, because that sun's going to move eventually. My main concern right now, though, is just being able to visualize the marks. If anything else, just try to make sure you hit those marks, hit the braking boards, and make sure you don't miss those, because you miss those, you can cook your tires.
Here's Season 2 champion Dustin Ping having a pretty good outing for himself, as he is right now up 24 spots and on the move down into turn numbers 3 and 4. Look out as Wyatt Walker nearly taking out Connor Gibson.
A little bit sketchy there off the corner yet again. But that's the RG partners you can see here when it comes to California. At this point, though, you can see where I talked about the multi-groove racing coming into play. We're seeing exactly that right now. The bottom line seems to really dig down through corner entry to center. Center off is about even, but back straightaway, the high line does get those small advantages. It's just about where the preference is for your setup, but also where the preference is on where you want your balance of the car to be on that setup. Do you want it to feel a little more tighter or a little bit more looser? That really depends on which line you run.
So far, one of the longest green flag runs that we have had tonight, as Nickerson takes to the inside of Ty Marasco. Moving up into turn number 2. Dalton Kill trying to close behind Connor Gibson, loose again! coming out of turn number 2 there. And I think he had some help because that car nearly shot out from under him.
Yeah, some of these drivers are really being aggressive when it comes to their lines here. Gibson in particular is being aggressive on the throttle. I'm noticing some of the little wiggles and bobbles he's getting. Just watch here. You see he just came off a seam. That's enough to snap him around just a little bit. Have to hang on to it. He at least got some give or take from the cars behind. Lucky he didn't get turned and nearly did it again the next corner.
Yeah, that is extremely fortunate. Right on board with Wyatt Walker's G&W Racing number 45 here. This is what he saw coming out of turn number 2 there, and well, not quite this time by. I think the wrong lap we're looking at there, but boy, again, I tell you what, quite the moment there that that 31 had. Can't play with fire like that more than once. Jaden Hobbs gap walking out to 1.6 seconds.
That gap is just expanding lap after lap, just with the true control expected from someone like Jaden Hobbs in these races. The thing is, no one else is matching him on long run pace except for maybe Benjamin Lacey. Everybody else's attempt to 3 to up to 5/10 off what this 00 is laying out here. And this could be spelling a potential pattern. If he's able to maintain this in the next couple weeks here, he could be your one to beat just based on how well he's able to build these setups here and get the connectors.
Well, Jaden Hopp was definitely a dominant figure in season number 4, where he took his where he took that championship in his first full season of competition. The performance was nothing short of epic for Hopp in season number 4. Walked out of that championship with 13 top 10s and 21 starts. 12 of those were top 5s, and 7 of those he won the race in. So name a more commanding performance. There's not many on iRacing where you can make an argument of there's no one else that should be a champion at the end of the day.
Yeah, right now, for some of these drivers, I think the major thing's going to be for them in the long haul, where do they get themselves set up on the fuel burn in particular, because we know for some of these drivers, they're going to be offset a fair bit. Look at some of these drivers battling up towards the front, though. Lacey, Michael Thorpe Jr. Thorpe Jr. trying to figure out a way to hold on, but this 7 machine, talked about the speed he's been putting down, he's able to have dead even speed with no draft.
Cruising upwards of 200 miles an hour, hitting 205 for a split second there on the way in. And Benjamin Lacey, of course, having a fight as well, as he's going to track right up towards the door of Michael Thorpe Jr. there. You look on from the roll bar over on the right-hand side of the car and just see how close they really get. It's one of the few cameras that really does it justice about how quickly this track can seem to run out of room when you're running side by side like this.
Exactly here.
Oh boy.
Oh, that was a little bit close on the send up. Yeah, but quite literally here, the tough thing about getting the job done here to get the passes done is just that ability for the outside to defend in these situations. You can be faster than the car in front for a little bit with the inside, but there's only so much you can do. The outside just gets an extra little bit of oomph to it when you're up next to that wall and you're able to get that power by using the higher line.
Lacey continues to fight this one out down on the inside. Thorpe on the outside. The fight for second place going nowhere. And it is a fight that is costing both drivers, as Jaden Hobb walks the gap out to 2.6 seconds now for the lead in only 5 laps since they started fighting it out.
Now still nothing doing for Lacey, and the more they fight, the more they cost themselves time. 2/10 a lap right now is being cost. But this Real Earth Films machine just needs to find a way to get clear on Apex, close the door on Thorpe, go from here. The difference is Lacey's backing it up a lot more. Pit window is open for Ryan Walker, only 34 laps in.
Brian Walker, one of the drivers that had not pitted since lap number 3 of this race. And he's not the only one. Dustin Ping, the Season 2 champion, coming down pit road. Ping's best performance at Auto Club Speedway right now in this league, standing at 6th place, still hunting for a top 5 in California.
It's very early in the season, obviously, but the more momentum you build at the start of the campaign, the more you can potentially set yourself up for the chase later on in the campaign. You have to have at least some sort of momentum built up to gain that confidence and know where you are with a good standpoint. It's hard to come back from a very slow start, especially in this type of format. A lot of people coming down pit road. Looks like a land rush as some of the drivers nearly ran each other over with some of the hand signals down there.
Pit road's about to get busy here, as drivers that tried to stay out as long as they possibly could are going to make their way on in. Expect to see Jaden Hott coming down anytime now, and this should cycle Michael Ramos through to the lead, at least for the next 13 laps or so, before Zachary Wareham and Austin McGill will take over. They would be the next drivers back.
Yeah, I think for them right now, it's for the math. If you do it right now, if you go some of the about same distances here as Thorpe Jr. and Nickerson, along with Gilrow, come on down, you're talking about, that's about 35 laps, let's say. You're talking,
look out!
Close, and what are they doing?
Oh my goodness, it's complete pandemonium on pit road as Kilrow runs into the back of Nick Nickerson and disrupts his attempt to get to pit road. That was John Walker, fresh out of his pit stall, during the contender that was just running in second place in pit road.
Just what was he thinking? He obviously was not paying attention and probably thought, oh, they'll just drive through me. Not at that point in the pit stall here. And quite simply, he should have had a lot more awareness of the situation. I know he's coming out of his pit stall, but that was straight across the entire length of pit road, the entire width, should say, right in the path of the lead cars. You've got to be upset if you're any of those cars, and then everyone else is just running each other over because of the fact they had to slow up that hard and now are discombobulated.
Thorpe's lucky because Kilrow nearly ran into the back of him and nearly spun him into pit road in the midst of all of that carnage. Boy, a risky moment there on pit road. Gotta always have your wits about you. Now, an entry like that into the fast lane, that's fine if you're going pit road speed at that point. He definitely was not.
Exactly there, and that's the huge part of all of that. Jaden Hoff, by the way, amongst those who've come out here. Now, here's the big thing potentially I was about to allude to here for some of the drivers on strategy, Nolan. It's potentially, I think very likely actually going to be a two-stop for a majority of the field from this point forward. Just on the math, we're talking about fuel being around 10 to 15 laps short. Michael Ramos amongst those who I believe is not going to make the mark on making it one last stop here. Zachary Wareham, though, might be able to stretch it as Foster comes in. It really depends on what the true number Wareham gets. He's the true barometer because he's the furthest down on the fuel spins here. As Wareham's trying to kill the car, the longer he can go, the more he can potentially set himself up for maybe a one-stop situation. It depends really on how much mileage he can really stretch out from him topping off.
Look at how far that back of the car is yawing out there in turn numbers 3 and 4. He is playing with fire right now, keeping that car pinned up on the outside line. It seems like the cars here are getting much more unsteady right by the wall in these corners. And some of that side force from the wall playing a factor in some of these cars starting to get loose.
Yeah, some of these drivers just getting a little bit too close to it maybe, snapping around. But also you burn up, on this track at least, a lot more of the rear running up on the floorboards up at the top of the racetrack. Just the nature of where the tire temperature's built, and they usually go to the rear rather than the front. You go that high up the racetrack here. Some of the other drivers are battling aggressive here. You have drivers like that Mary up here at 24. You have Williams, Some of these drivers on a mixture of different fuel windows here because of the top offs.
Yeah, right now, Michael Ramos we're expected to see in within 10 laps or so, but everybody else here, they can probably stretch the show close to halfway, right around the lap 60 mark is when I think we can expect to see this big fight from 4th on down to 10th make their way into pit road. So they're going to be out here and fighting this one out for a while yet. That's not good news for some of the contenders here in turn 4 that are now on fresh tires, and they're going to have a hard time on cutting through some of that slower traffic.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the other part of all this equation is a lot of these lead cars are going to have to deal with heavy amounts of lap traffic here that can slow them up and become a roadblock. But how well you can get through the traffic here in some of these cases. We see a huge wave of pit stops. Some of these drivers are only 26 laps into their fuel runs, Nolan. That is a lot earlier than I would think.
So they're definitely trying to hit a fuel number, I think, is the problem. Well, not the problem, but I think that's the case here. They're trying to really square themselves up for a particular stint, and I think they might be trying to cut this race into thirds. They don't want to make a pit stop with 5 kill for a splash and go.
Yeah, absolutely here. I think that might be a bit of a factor here, to say the very least. Maybe trying to set it up more so for that last pit stop, help themselves out for that situation a little bit more easier on the map compared to if they just ran it out. It's like the 24 picks of a penalty when they're pitted, and that's not good for them. But a lot of these air drivers, it's going to really be dependent on how much they can go. See some of these other competitors, like John Osborne, like Scorsell. They're amongst the competitors that if they were to get to say what the 27 just did. Oh, hold on.
Oh, boy. Huge hit into the outside wall for John Osborne. He got loose out of turn 4 and then got punted from behind. No caution flag yet, but that car is slowing dramatically. The problem is he can't get down to the bottom. There's not really much of a gap for him to do so.
Both the cars, I think, broke something there because you also have the 72, Rupek, doing the same thing around the racetrack, albeit in a not bad situation. He's found the bottom of his racetrack at his board. Look at how much the nose is just digging into the pavement. So 2 cars that were trying to stretch the fuel end up colliding with the corner difference.
And that all started because John Osborne got wicked loose coming out of turn numbers 3 and 4. Take a look at this one again. Off of turn 4, watch Osborne. Right there, he gets loose, and there's just nowhere for the 77 to go. Osborne takes the wall, and that ripped the wheel off of Rupek's car. You see it struggling to break free of the wheel well, and then right around here, it's going to finally let go.
That would absolutely destroy the races, obviously, here. Both of them take them out of the equation. See that sometimes with some of the speed differences we can get around the racetrack, but now everybody else on the strategy of the pit stops trying to chase down Hop, Lacey, and Kilrow. Once those is Marasco. Right now Marasco running in the 40.4s in traffic. He's 4/10 off the pace of those who are up in front of him.
On board with Marasco, and it is busy right now where he is at on the racetrack. He's got the 2 Nick Christensen in front. That's Michael Thorpe Jr. down below him. And he's got company from behind as well, because if you flick that around, Justin Ping trying to go down his inside as well. So right now, Marasco, a busy man as he fights with the race car and with traffic all around him. And look at the over-under from the 2 to get back around the GGA driver of Michael Thorpe Jr.
Yeah, just having a hard time being able to set something up here. You see him just trying to back up his corners, get a better launch here. Taking we said to get around the 2 machine here. You see Thorpe, as he steps out, it's a brick air a little bit. A brick when it comes to the drafts here. You have to be that much better on raw speed in the car to get the pass done, just raw speed down the straightaway. And it looks like at the very least he does have the rotation down to go. Wareham and Stevens only made it 31 laps. they are definitely going to have to come down 2 more times tonight.
And for the current race lead, but these guys, of course, still have to come down pit road, Eddie Hagge and Nicholas Coruscant going side by side for the top spot down the back straightaway, with Nicholas Coruscant up on the top, and Eddie Hagge going to lift early and allow for Coruscant to fight around him. So Wareham into the box, Scotty Stevens, the rookie, in right behind. While plenty of battles still remain hotly contested on the racetrack.
Oh, and hey, he just came in with Williams, so absolutely no one else can stretch. Quite simply here outside of Coruscant, it's going to be the question mark. Where do things go by the time we get to the last pit stop or later on today, just with the fuel number? So that fuel number realistically, maybe at the max 33. Realistically, we're talking 30 to 32 for the rest of the way. And that math would say pit stops up to 10 laps to go for this one. And that last stop could be more so open for strategy if it stays green. And this is the part of the nature of 2-mile races. You have to be prepared for it to come down to that strategy.
Critically as well, nearing the halfway mark. Lap 53 of 125. Coruscant into the box. While Ty Marasco finally tries to take care of Nick Nickerson up on the top side of the racetrack in turn 4. And this finally cycles Jaden Hopp back through to the race lead, and now you're watching what has turned into the battle for 4th on down. Kilroe, Lacey, and Hopp all several seconds clear of not just this fight, but one another.
Plenty of these battle packs have formed up here with the nature of this racetrack. You end up in the long run, though, in many different types of racing, especially the modern type of car. You have these small gaggles that come together, and you end up having battle groups the rest of the run here that are hard to break away, but the caution is going to group everyone back.
And it's yet another rookie, Christopher Mixon, around on the back straightaway, having yet another one of our debut drivers bringing out caution flag number 5 of the afternoon, and by far the longest green flag run of the race, and this is going to bunch everybody back up together.
Yeah, this is a bit of a pivotal caution on the lap time in here too. Now it becomes a question, do we see people try and stretch the fuel runs a little bit? Yeah, what happened is the question. 57. Pushing hard on the throttle, way too much off corner. They were possibly going to hit the wall if they weren't there. Just came up across into traffic, into the air cars alongside, and those cars obviously didn't appreciate it.
I'm not sure who that was that got into Mixon there, coming around in the turn numbers 1 and 2. But I believe that would be Scotty Stevens, one of the other rookies in the field that Mixon chopped the nose of.
Yeah. Again, all that takes for that situation is pushing too much. Corner exit, not expecting the cars to be there. And now, everybody should come back down pit road, just about the vast majority, if not. So this will equalize everybody on the strategy, but Jaden Hopp's lead gets eviscerated as a result of this.
And no one wanted to see that caution less than the old school racers 00, who has been by far the dominant car of the day, the only car to break out more than a 1-second lead, let alone the 3 that he had right before the green flag pit stop window really kicked off. Critically, this could put these guys actually behind several other drivers, because I'm sure some guys like Coruscant that only pitted 2 laps ago might look to stay out here.
Yeah, there is that possibility. Dalton Carroll, Ty Marasco just stayed out. Curious call for them to stay out. Wareham, who just pit 5 laps ago, staying out. Some of these drivers not going to try to risk it, banking on more caution flags here potentially, Nolan. But the majority of the field quite simply knows tires in the long run are going to be more helpful.
Marasco and Kilroe, of course, are teammates for Team MFRD, so I'm sure they are playing some sort of a strategy game. They've got something in the back pocket that they're going to be working with potentially here. It's going to be not 4 tires in field, only 2 for Jaden Hobb, and 4 for most other drivers in the field. So very, very split decisions here on pit road, and this yellow flag going to put us right about to the halfway mark. We'll take ourselves a quick step back, and when we return, racing action continues on here on Green Flight TV. Stay with us.
Rev TV brings the world of motorsports into your home with over 100 live race series such as MotoGP, IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, Extreme E, World Superbike, and the newly launched all-electric E1 series. From 2 wheels to 4, from land to sea, your destination is Rev TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flight TV, where racing action is set to continue as we close in on halfway home here at the Auto Club Speedway. My name is Little Remble alongside Justin Prince, bringing you all of racing action. And Justin, a lot of shakeups from pit stops under this latest yellow flag.
Yeah, a lot of different strategy there. Some drivers elected to take some fuel onlys or 2 tire calls to gain track position. Others electing to take the simple 4 tires, like Nickerson, dropping down to 14, Dustin Pink to 17. But a lot of different roll of the dice here. Some drivers try and think of one thing. Will they have enough tire sets to play around with later on? There are only 4 in the pit lane tonight.
Green flag coming out this time by. And for the first time since about lap 24, the whole field thunders down as one towards the opening corners of the racetrack. Some drivers fanning out looking for 3, others remain double file. The MFRD 1-2 remains as such into turn number 1. Wareham tried to stick the nose in there for a second. Couldn't get the job done though. Sideways for a moment there, coming out of turn 3 right in front of Austin McGill.
A little bit of a loose moment as the lights get ready to turn on pretty soon here. They are in fact on now on the racetrack. That darkness coming into play here as there goes Wareham. Already trying to run the high groove, elected to stay out amongst those drivers who are not planning things out to potentially try and stretch it out. Here we go with a crash.
Right in the middle of the front straightaway, one car punched up into the air. It's Carter Phillips, number 30. Hold on, and the 76 comes sliding in. And Ryan Walker collected, I think, his 3rd incident of the night. And I told you under the break there, Justin, with all the difference in pit strategy that we were probably going to get another yellow flag. I was hoping to be wrong, though.
Yeah, that was definitely not what some people wanted, but definitely what others may factor in on their strategy. Quite simply, see the 30, very loose. Looks like he got some help from behind from Ramos, and at that point, once you get to the back end, remember, it just picks you up, jacks you up, spins you out, and on for the ride you go. And at this point, the 30 collects a lot of competitors.
Pretty hard hit there that the 43 car took in the middle of that crash. That was Larry Bell, and there's the big thunk into the right rear wheel well for Ryan Walker, catching a big piece of that.
right there, that's just enough. Get them loose. Made as much as they could. Hit from Massengill definitely maintains 100% loose. Cars and Larry Bell going to be amongst the wounded and collected here. They're getting stacked up with these types of incidents. But all this is while the sun now sets out of turn 3. And you still have Kilrow in front for now. In fact, most of the drivers who just pit for the fresher tires, they still have to make up some ground. Drivers like Jaden Hopp on the 2 tires got to 8th.
Ay. All things considered, you know, as hard of a hit as that was not as bad of a crash as I thought that was going to be. That had the potential to be a lot worse than it ended up being considered. That was at the front and on the outside of the racetrack.
Definitely could have been much worse there, especially with the snapback across traffic. But as you would expect, a few people going back down here. Let's see some on boards. See, Jor got very loose with that situation there too. Might have gotten a slight hit of the air in the right rear, so to speak. Great job to save it and not get hit in on the onside pick home.
Yeah, he was tagged on the right rear quarter panel as Carter Phillips had slid back across the racetrack. So he had a great save in the midst of that mess. Well, it's still the MFRD 1-2 up at the head of the field. Eddie Haggy right now, the hard charger, up 28 positions, up to the 9th place spot.
Yeah, at this point, to credit the 97, a good race here tonight, up 28 yet again. Up front, leaned some laps with strategy earlier on today, led one specifically. But has been amongst those just making tire sets and trying to think about the big picture here, Nolan. Quite simply, just trying to hope for some cautions later on to be able to utilize the extra sets that he's trying to save for later in this race. We'll have to see how the tires fare out in these next few restarts, though, knowing how much fall off we've seen over the course of the last few runs.
This lap, we will be halfway home in the second race in what is a Fontana triple header here on Green Flag TV. Of course, round 1 of that was with the Blaze Metals ARCA Series just last night. And the finale of the triple header going to be tomorrow night with the OMSRL Gold Series at the Auto Club Speedway. Cole Fraley and Conde LaFrance enter OMSRL's championship race with a 13-point gap between them. And we'll see which driver will walk away after Tuesday night ends the new champion to close out 2025. Mid-Atlantic Race Series action is at the Roval. PSR and Beerley both back for more, and I believe it is going to be the season finale for the PSR Outlet Motorsports Truck Series this coming Wednesday. Speed is out again at Homestead, while the Zero Torque Racing League is at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And then on Saturday, penultimate round for Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Series action, 250 laps at the Milwaukee Mile. All of that and more throughout the first weeks here of November. Quite a few leagues, though, getting set to wind down for the winter, Justin. HTRL says, why stop? Let's get another party started.
And we're ready to see how things play out yet again. And here's an important thing to consider, Nolan. Next time we got a caution flag, that will get everybody within a one-stop window on gas to the end, in theory.
Pace car is into pit road, and we will make our way into the Geico restart zone. Green flag back in the air. And both Team FRD drivers clearly coordinating their jumps as they get a hefty launch of the rest of the field.
Great launch, great pull away to start things off on the run. But the thing's going to be, got pressure tires down in the midst of the field. It's about trying to see where things settle in, and we got a crash yet again.
Multiple cars around. Wyatt Walker into the outside wall. Tanamar missing a front clip. Same story for Ethan Sikorsky. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Sikorsky's front axle is completely bent out of shape there.
Got some heavy hits there for some drivers towards the back. Again, surprisingly, no caution. We still race it out as here comes McGill.
That caught me off guard. I thought for sure we were under a yellow flag there, but you're correct. Still green. Austin McGill racing it out here with Dalton Kilrow alongside him. Down into turn number 1. Kilrow shuts the door. And Ty Marasco trying to size something up from the outside, but here comes McGill down low on fresher rubber.
Gill able to get the edge just like that. Able to get the power down. First time we've seen a 48 lead this season. But as you would expect, though, everybody else trying to move around, search around for speed, especially up on that outer groove here. There goes the 41 loose.
And we'll get a look back at that incident, by the way, after everything here settles out. Because right now, this is obviously the thing to watch right now. 60 laps to go, looking for 59. They're threatening 4 wide in turn 3. Look at the 64 of Wareham pulling the top lane.
Yeah, Wareham not being the most patient with this. Wants to get the track position back, be the highest running the Ford chassis, just like that. Been handling the high side perfectly this run. Remember, he burned up the rear tires, though, on the last run. Long run at least. But everybody else at least starting to settle down a bit, Nolan. Ryan's moving up that caution flag. These drivers having the opportunity to see where things separate. Oh, now Kilrow with this long run is getting swallowed.
Yeah, Kilrow might be regretting not coming down the pit road for more tires at this point in time, while Benjamin Lacey gets around him and starts to make his way to the front. Oh boy, man, 3 wide again for the Real Earth Films, number 7, and up the racetrack. Oh, hold on, around, nearly, for that one car down low.
Yeah, some drivers getting a little bit aggressive. They are reaching lap traffic, by the way. 30 of Phillips having to get around as everybody else zips their way through. Top 3 separate. Take a look at this Hornet's Nest building around Jaden Hopp. He hasn't been able to get really anywhere on this run after dominating Cleaner earlier. He has been stuck in all this traffic.
Well, running in dirty air versus Cleaner, especially in these cars that have the aerodynamic properties of a brick. Very, very different feelings. Into the wall goes Dustin Pink. That causes Ramos to scramble down the inside. Jaden Hobb gonna go with him. Looking for 4 wide again down the back straightaway. They only keep it 3 though. 3 wide, 2 rows deep, and Nick Nickerson sliding up. He's gonna get into the Season 2 champion. Pushing Pink up the racetrack and nearly sending him around with the 32 of Ryan Philbrook up top.
All sorts of wildness popping up still. But that's kind of what you expect here with the wideness of this track. You can run the 4 wide. You can run it sustained fairly, actually. As long as you get the give and take for the drivers here. How about more 3 wide yet again for the back straightaway for good measure here. You can see Jason Raymond just trying to find a way to get clean air on the front nose here. This guy's been able to find a way through as Pink gets bounced up.
Oh, hold on here. Ryan Philbrook into the back of the 81. Nearly punches him back around. Boy, these guys are just going at it and showing no signs of slowing down anytime soon. Still 3 wide down the front straightaway. Looking like Dustin Pink has finally managed to more or less avoid some of that catastrophe. But here comes Connor Gibson and Ryan Philbrook, both in misnumbered cars in the 41 and the 32. Up to the outside line. Let's take a look real quick on the incident that happened off of the restart in turn number 2.
Nose contact. Gets loosened up and a hard hit to the inside wall for Sikorsky. Immediate toe, but again, for a lot of these drivers that were slow, no one else was around them to trigger the caution flag. That's why we didn't get the yellow flag. which would have made it a fuel mileage race. Instead, we still race it out here. See where things play out for a lot of these competitors. You see some of the drivers still searching, trying to find that clean air, like Hobbs here in his faux Dodge.
Jeremiah Hobbs going around the outside of Scotty Stevens and trying to close the back of Ryan Philbrick, and now Stevens gets sideways, dropping to the tail end as he's going to fall in line down for 16th place. Unfortunate for him. Well, up front, Jeremiah Hobbs chasing Connor Gibson. You got Ty Marasco in the mix, Nick Nickerson and Dustin Ping both up to the outside, and the 2-car gets into the outside wall, and Jason Raymond did a good job on holding on. Now he's up 21 spots in 8th.
Yeah, not bad at all. What the drivers talked about with the 4-tire strategy with fresh Goodyear Eagles. But it just seems like times are just too equal. 10 or 2 differences is not going to be enough, it seems. Get a really great chance to pull away. These tires, for those at least that have taken some service, pretty close to each other, at least 5-6 laps. Tires just completely equalized out in the fall off, where you would expect to be in the past to be 2.5 seconds, and only gone into 8, 9 tenths yet again for the best of the best. As here comes Wareham.
The Canadian looking up top, trying to go for the race lead here, and Austin McGill nearly taking him out. Wareham clears down the front straightaway with that bobble. Checked up McGill's momentum, and Michael Thorpe Jr. closing into the back end as well. So Zachary Wareham going to drive to the point. Right now, Wareham in this championship, making his 20th start here this afternoon. His best finish is a lone race win that he had all the way back on March 24th of 2024, and that was at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It has been over a year and a half since Wareham has been back to victory lane.
There's the side-by-side yet again. At this point, Wareham's amongst the drivers that think that has a really good chance here, but pressure tires again for Thorpe are going to have a chance for a fail. Going to help a little bit more in this situation. 2 tenths quicker than the 64 last time through. Already, we're seeing though, Thorpe just playing the aero game, trying to block things off, pick his line, go from there.
Oh, hold on! Benjamin Lacey getting into Eddie Haggy while Wareham smacks the wall coming out of turn 4. Austin McGill driving back up to the second place spot. Michael Thorpe Jr. still with the lead of the race. A 1/10 of a second between them. Thorpe trying to see if he can hold on up high, but Austin McGill, second place runner, looking for the lead still, and Wareham, despite hitting the wall, has not been deterred on his pace.
Yeah, exactly. It's been a great race for, I think, Thorpe Jr. here tonight. But right now, McGill is amongst those that's continuing to flex his muscles in the later stages. Keep in mind, a lot of these drivers pretty soon, at least towards some of the front competitors, are right about near that fuel window, right about that time to try and get pit stops done here. We just got word that the 30 has been told, by the way, for those wondering, we've seen the 30 car on the air play times. They are not reaching minimum speed. They would have to try and fix his damage.
Tough break for Carter Phillips, was looking to have a good day, and, well, one of just many drivers that has been put down over and over and over again tonight. Despite the multitude of attrition in this race, a surprising number of cars still out in the racetrack. We still have 31 that are currently circulating the Auto Club Speedway out of the 39 to start this race. AC Tanamara up high, going to be caught in some traffic here as they're 3 wide down the back, and that's letting Michael Thorpe Jr. pull a gap.
And then that just opened up the door for the 97 to just blow the doors off them. That's interesting because the 97 is a bunch of those that on the last caution popped off on the fuel tank. So that kind of showcases their ability. McGill a little bit too hard on the set.
And now Justin Ping is sliding into the infield grass behind. Got crossed up at a turn number 4, and he's going to spin into the infield. But pulls it back up, no caution flag, and he's able to hold on to the car.
Let's take a look at the replay here with that situation, why don't we here? Got Ping just a lot of speed to the wall, lucky he didn't pancake the entire side of it. At that point, they pull it out, take it to the grass, hope it doesn't bounce out when he crossed by the AAA logo. Go from there, 45 to go.
And Tanamar being caught with a black mechanical flag as well. So that's the black flag with the orange circle. Tanamar will be forced into pit road for more damage repairs his day. Could very well find itself going up in smoke. 45 laps to go. Michael Rainbow sweeping up from the inside. Loose as eventually takes the air off the back end. He pulls it up, gets it back in line. Zachary Wareham clears for third, while McGill attacking the 27 down the inside.
Look at this. Again, Gill's starting to fade all of a sudden after having such a good run. His momentum's just been shot, lost his tempo. That's what's really pushing him back here. As we've had an error crash, Jason Raymond.
And Jason Raymond, you saw him sitting down to the inside, and he had a lot of damage to his machine. And how much everyone will bet that he has found the pit barrels here on the entry. As we take a look back to the 49 car, lost the back end, coming down, slides, and crunch right into the attenuator.
Heavy contact there that completely shreds the tire off the car. How did that happen? Yeah, just snapped loose across the seams. At that point, trying to lock it down. Angle was bam, right to the left front.
That is a hellacious hit, and we've seen a lot of bad crashes here at the Auto Club Speedway. I know you were with me last time these guys raced out. We saw a driver hit the other end of the pit attenuator and actually flip over entering turn 1. But that's the first time we've actually seen somebody slam into an attenuator on the way in to the Auto Club Speedway's pit road.
Yeah, that was a tough, nasty hit to say the very least, but at this point, a lot of these drivers are just about at that point where they're going to have to duck down, make those stops pretty soon. They have to think, when are they going to come down? Because that will set things up for how they split things up for the final run of this race absolutely here. And though that we're seeing the rest of this field pass by Ramos, who for some reason is way down low. And the hand out the window signals he trying something different.
Hard to tell. I think it was just trying to stay out of the way and make sure that he doesn't get collected in anything, given how much attrition we've seen in this race from the drop of the green flag this afternoon. 40 laps to go. We are entering the final third of this race and about 10 laps away. Well, more like maybe only 5 or so laps away from being able to go the distance.
Yeah, as at this point, McGill just about got turned down the straightaway. He ended up scraping the wall and just about hard hooked himself across Ramos' front nose. Very lucky to say the very least. I believe some calls are coming over for pit stops. Yes, indeed, pit stops are open as the leaders continue to fight it as Thornton Jr. tries to hold things back with some of the faster cars on tires. A lot of these competitors now we'll have to see where things cycle. I believe we've already had the 00 already pit, for example. That's why we see Jaden Hopp just pass.
And Jaden Hopp just got himself back onto the lead lap as he unlaps himself from Michael Thorpe Jr. Now, the first car in line behind Thorpe is Eddie Haggy. That is a fight for position. It is for the race lead. So Eddie Haggy running that higher line, trying to see if he's got an answer for the Golden Garden Autosport number 34 down the first straightaway. He looks to the inside. Jeremiah Hobbs coming to pit road, this time through. And Eddie Hagee to the point in turn 1.
And our slider up. Thorpe's going to let him have it here. How about Lacey on the first tire still hit him? Hagee actually, I think, had a problem there. Wiggled the back end of the car. One time, even Thorpe's wondering, what did you just do?
Well, what that does do is it opens up the door for Benjamin Lacey to try to attack Michael Thorpe Jr. now, as we continue to see fight after fight develop here on the front straightaway. Coming down pit road is going to be Connor Gibson, this time by. He is not the only one. Austin McGill and Jeremiah Hobbs making their way out of pit road. And given how soon people are coming in on these stints, we might actually find ourselves here, Justin, being just a few laps shy of being able to go to the cycle.
Yeah, that was the thing we've seen. We did see a couple people before able to stretch it to 35 before. That was with a bunch of pace laps to factor in. It was really up to if there was any saving here and what lines were ran, how these drivers have played this run, if they're going to hit that fuel mark. And then to see a lot of clutch and coasting potentially in the later stages. Haven't really seen too much clutch and coasting, I don't think, here tonight, though. There are a lot of these cars. So for now, it's going to be where things go, as keep in mind, drivers like Nicholas Coruscant, like Sean Williams and company, they absolutely can make it a one-stop lead. They're just about a couple laps away from making it to the 30 to go mark.
36 laps to go. The fight remains between Lacey and Thorpe for the lead of the race. Ryan Philbrick comes down pit road in the tide, should be the 0-6. Benjamin Lacey to the inside of Michael Thorpe Jr. Going to go for the top spot. Will Thorpe yield, or will he try to fight it out? He's going to fight it out. Not willing to back off and let Lacey take this one. Might be trying to force Lacey into overdriving turn 3 to clear him.
There it is. Took a lot longer than Lacey thought, as there's the send down. Straight down pit road, and these drivers absolutely will not make it. Hagee still keeps on going for now. But the pressure is on for the 4, the 89, and the 40 to go as long as possible to see if they can steal this one, as these drivers will likely have to come down within the final 5 laps if they take the full tank.
So drivers duck into their stalls now. Hagee, assuming he keeps up what he had going with him on whatever happened with his latest stint, should be able to go the distance you'd imagine. Coming to pit road with 34 to go at the end of the 34th lap of the stint to split this final 1.5. But critically, I think 2 laps of that were run under caution.
Exactly. That's going to be the tough part of this, and that's why I think that Scott here has a great chance to steal it away. But Sean Williams, one of the drivers involved in one of the early caution flags here tonight, is also in that same ballpark. And if Sean Williams can steal it away, quite simply, that would be a great recovery. Not sure, though. It's going to be, can he get to lap 30? He needs to stretch it a couple more laps here. He wants to get to that target, and it looks like he is still going to be able to roll forward here.
So Scott Shire continues to battle. He can effectively make it to the end on one more stop in this race. Just in front of him, this is Austin McGill fighting by Dalton Kilrow, and contact there forces him up the racetrack, and now Michael Thorpe Jr. has to scramble. He avoids the outside wall, and Thorpe goes 2 for 2.
A little bit aggressive from Thorpe, but he has to be able to keep up. Benjamin Lacey's just up the road, and Zachary Wareham on a 5-lap tire difference is up the road and clean space also. Hold on 1 second though. We have a pit stop update. The 4 did not make it to the lap he needed to. He is in. Scott Shire is in a couple laps away from that to be comfortable target. Sean Williams is still going.
Now, critically, you could potentially try to put in the clutch to save the fuel, and I think that's what some drivers might be doing, trying to see if they can clutch and coast to be able to make the mark just barely. It'd be a gamble, but it's a gamble that could very well pay off.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting, and Nicholas Cortzel is on the same strategy. He can maybe save one lap. It's going to be a bit difficult, but Williams and Cortzel are in a really interesting spot here. These two teammates have an opportunity here. If they're able to keep on going to the very end, it's going to be on fumes likely.
Top four in a pit road. This is going to cycle Jaden Hoff back through to the front. Now, Jaden Hoff has a 4-second lead on Zachary Wareham, but with him being on his 18th lap, there is no way he is making it to the end. Hoff is the first driver that we know has come down pit road, and unless he gets a very lucky yellow flag, effectively now, he's not winning this race.
Yeah, at this point, unless there's a caution flag, it's not going to work in Hoff's way. He's tried something different here. He had to try something different. He wasn't able to get going in the traffic. But if things cycle ahead, it's right now Wareham in the comfortable spot here. Drivers like Thorpe Jr. still busy fighting with some of those unequal strategy more than anything else. Ways back from the net leaders. So once again, it's been about when do you choose the pit? Where do the tires cycle out here tonight? And we've seen that become a critical part of these strategies.
.30 laps to go. Thorpe and Nickerson continue to fight it out. Marasco and Lacey continue to fight it out. All the while, several battles in this race starting to dissipate as drivers settle in for what will likely be a strategy race from here to the end.
California Classic, what else can you say? Fontana's known for these. And now, Jaden Hoff is in. Hoff is going up in down pit road a little bit earlier than expected here, but this will take him to the end.
I kind of like this idea though, right? Because this way, he guarantees he can be on fresh tires and he can try to make them run to the end. That way, he's not running for half a stint on older tires than everybody else in the field and losing time. This is realistically his last ditch effort to come out of this with a win.
Yeah, this is going to be where, if it stays green, your hope is, quite simply, you're able to come up the right way on the strategy. It comes down to, well, a lot of these pit stop times are going to be, for Hoff at least, I think he's going to be close to, if not just about, still on the lead lap at least. So it's still a decent spot, but it's going to require a lot of effort, all while drivers like Lacey still battling it out here. This is for the lead with Wareham now.
Crucially, Jaden Hoff got out in front of Benjamin Lacey because there's the fight in his mirrors. So he has remained on the lead lap. That is critical for Jaden Hoff because that means he doesn't have to worry about unlapping himself from the lead lap traffic. He can just put the pedal to the metal and try to gun it from here to the end.
Yep, this is where, for now, you have to be able to just drive forward. You have to be able to plot and plan, save a little bit of gas here if you're Lacey. Might see him try and stretch it out here. If you're trying to split it up, you come down to about 10 laps from now. Give yourself a runway to recover. Anything further than that, you might have a very hard time of bouncing back, and it comes down to who else runs out of gas. So there's so much that you have to think about here while trying to drive. It's just a matter of what choice do you make. You have to make sure you get the right one if you're going to win this race.
And sometimes, in a case like Jaden Hoff, it's not a matter of what choice do you take, it's what choice do you realistically have. And I'm sure several drivers that are kind of hovering near the edge of the lead lap are thinking similar as we see Sean Britton at pit road and he misses the stall.
Sean Britt's been having a quiet night, not concerned about that car for the win, but Ramos at decent speed, top 10 speed after the Daytona win. Been able to fend off a lot of these hard chargers here. Nagy hasn't really been able to push ahead here. All these cars are running 3-4 tenths off the pace of the leaders. They are not in the ballpark they need to be in if they want to try and win this race here. It's right now for them. The more they fight, the more time they lose.
But it's Auto Club, right? Again, it was such a wide, inviting racetrack with all the high speeds, higher in a single car run than you would be at a track like Daytona. It invites this style of racing. It invites you to take a swing at the guy in front of you, because surely you can send it to the inside by 3 lanes and clear him out of the corners. Is what the track wants you to think.
Yes, exactly. But it's all where, in the long run here, you got to be able to plot around all the racing factors here. Look at this from Thorpe Jr. He's caught up to Wareham. Wareham's faded from Lacey by almost 2 seconds. You know that 64 is likely out of the window on the gas at least, and is outright falling like a rock in the deep winter car.
A tough break for Zachary Wareham, as he is going to be caught on the outside here, and Thorpe should be able to make short work of Wareham. Although that outside lane still has some oomph to it, as Zach Wareham going to look to drive up and around him, but coming down to 3 and 4, this fight just a matter of time before he loses out, and he's going to lose out here as Thorpe clears for second.
Once again, it's not done yet though. The outside line just has a lot of getting up and go, as we touched upon. That's going to be the frustrating part. Yep. Great for defending. Thorpe has to try and cover it off completely. Cover it off for the quarter range to take the top line away. Wareham in the wall, that's going to help him, but lap traffic not going to be helpful.
Yeah, Wareham hit the wall, and Nick Kirsten nearly went around. That gifted him that run on a silver platter, and Scotty Stevens just leaving pit road in his high time racing league debut. He is going to be forced back into pit road quickly for speeding.
Says all you can say for their chances here. You cannot afford you caught speeding here if you want a chance to contend. Scotty Stevens throws away an opportunity for a good finish, who had decent speed. Not good positioning for much of the night. I think some of the air drivers like Ty Marasco are thinking about pit stops coming up here. I think he just worded something on the radio. And yeah, he's taking the inside line here. We might see the 1 come on down. Yes, we do.
Jamming on the bind is at a turn 4, attacking pit road as aggressively as he can to try and come out with the most amount of speed possible. And Marasco will be in for his final stop of the night. Scotty Stevens has come back down pit road. His black flag has been cleared. Eddie Hague and Jeremiah Hobbs, meanwhile, side by side, and Hague looking to try to make short work of the Midwest Motorsports number 9.
This is going to be pretty easy work, in fact. The 97 seems to have good long run speed here this evening. Well, pit stops yet again, though. Thorpe is in, Hobbs is in.
So Mike Thorpe Jr. and Jeremiah Hobbs, 2 more drivers that will make their way into pit road with under 20 laps to go. And as the battles separate more and more, this race starting to look like it's going to go green to the end, as was the case in seasons 3 and 4 and in season 1. In fact, the only season here that didn't end on a long green flag run was back in season 2. There was a late race caution And that actually forced a side-by-side photo finish in the old Gen 4 cars between Benjamin Lacey and ex-high-type racing competitor Tony Hilbrands, where Hilbrands took one of his very few wins of his career before he made his departure from racing in this league.
Got it. Been a great long run that's shucking things up a little bit with the strategies. It's really tested as well how good some of these setups have been here tonight, with a lot of the drivers having some significant fall off, while others, they've been able to put together a phenomenal pace to separate themselves in the long haul. Lacey, mind you, now up 4 seconds to Wareham, almost 5. Jaden Hopp, mind you, on the track. He's away 2/10 quicker, maybe even a 10th quicker right now to the race leader. The 00 hasn't really necessarily ran away from Lacey and company on this long run with the equalization point.
Has just cleared John Walker, and with him about to pass Cody Gibson, there it is in pit road. We will see him being able to push his way up to the 12th place spot. Ryan Walker has also had a black flag come on down, and this one will be for a pit road infraction.
Yeah, it was a rough night in first place for Ryan Walker. Looks like more black flags coming on through. There it is there. Well, Walker. Once those towards the tail. 6 laps down. He's been laps down just about the entire night since the opening instance of the race. I think we might see more pit stops coming up here, and it's not just going to be Walker. Wareham amongst those hearing coming in. It is the 64 who just came down pit road.
So Zachary Wareham in for his final stop with 15 laps on the boards. Driving by the pit attenuator that got absolutely smoked by Jason Raymond earlier today. Coruscant going to get around Sean Williams, and Zachary Wareham has just been black flag for speeding.
Another one bites the dust is all you can really say there. Great run, goes for naught. That's why you can't afford to mess up any sectors. Speed any of those sector lines, you will be caught. But it's still going to be interesting for some of those on the fuel strat. Shire right now is up by about 1.5 seconds compared to Coruscant and Williams. Coruscant got the edge over Williams of the course this run, and Williams last time was 0.5 seconds slower than his teammate up here in the 40.
And there is Scott Shire up 7 positions, running in the 6th place spot. We believe still has yet to come down to pit road as well. Might not be clear by a couple laps or so. Zach Wareham has just cleared his penalty, and he's going to be making his way back out onto the racetrack. Albeit now 2 laps down.
Completely out of contention as a result of one mistake after being in contention for top 5 much of the evening. But coming around, we only have about 12 laps coming through to go here. This is where it's going to be razor thin on the fuel marks here, and we might see a lot of fuel on these are 2 tires here, Nolan. It's going to come down to what the drivers are willing to risk here and how late they are able to get here on the runs here. Lacey, we see throughout all this is just kept extending and extending over the course of this entire run, trying to find a way to use that interval to his advantage. He has not been clutching.
No, he has not. Benjamin Lacey is in a gambit here of trying to just run that car as hard as that engine is going to allow to try and get the absolute most out of it on this run. Well, Eddie Haggett continues to try and close in on Austin McGill with 5 lap pressure tires in the back pocket. Lacey holding a 3.9 second gap over Nick Kirsten, but the lap times between the two have been pretty comparable. It's another 3 seconds back to Michael Ramos, and then 2.8 back to this battle for fourth.
I think McGill had the faster car for this point of the race. Seeing how he was sliding around earlier. And Lacey's coming in. Lacey comes in, coming at 10 laps to go. The leader is now coming through for their final stop.
Nickerson takes up the lead. He will lead the field and take 10 laps to go. He is not the only one. Michael Ramos has also come down pit road from behind him. So 2 drivers well within the top 10, making their way into pit road. Expect Austin McGill to be in within the next 3 laps as well.
Remember, a lot of these drivers here up front are a little bit worse on the fuel strategy compared to your race leader. Only so far they're going to be able to go here. A lot of these drivers, I think, are banking on there being somebody make a mistake here late for them to keep on stretching it out like this. Nickerson, don't think is going to be in the window to make it. McGill, I think, just signaled for a pit stop coming up next time.
Ramos out of pit road. Scott Shire pushing where these 2 guys have not been, has caught them. And is going to look to drive around the outside of Eddie Hagge. He'll pick up a podium position. Oh, but Hagge sweeps up, trying to avoid Austin McGill, who ducks low on the racetrack. And thought for a moment we were going to get that late race yellow that drivers are dreading.
Yeah, that was near disaster with the timing of that. He did call the corners before that it was going to be a pit stop. Have to be more aware of that situation, but the force gap from that circumstance for what is the net lead for his strategy just got reduced. The 97, who's had to push, I think, a little bit more on the fuel save here, if he's going to try and make it at least, has to fight hard here because he's got everyone else around him who can make it those extra 2 laps here on this window with 7 laps to go. Corcel trying to push into the wall.
Oh boy, catches the wall, something fierce, and nearly lost the back end of the front straightaway. Still chasing after Eddie Hagge. Corcel, not Corcel, sorry, I think Shire might be clutching in front. While Hagge maintains his run in third. 7 laps to go. And when does the number 2 come down pit road for the final time?
At this point, look at how loose Hagge's getting. The 97 is burning up the rears. Corcel, even with the fuel save, but they have to take the move here, because the more the 97 steps onto, the worst chance he's got to try and catch the 4 in the fuel save with the clutch and coast.
Man, these guys are going at it big time here, as looking for 5 laps to go. And Scott Shire, somebody in this pack here is putting in the clutch. I keep hearing the revs dropping to nil. Nickerson finally comes down pit road with 5 to go, and Shire will take up the race lead.
Yeah, Shire at this point, remember, is going to be Munzel's close here. He was a couple laps earlier. Corcel still hard saving right now. So all 4 of these drivers have been trying to clutch and coast on their entries for a while now. Try and stretch out the fuel. Now it's about, can they get there? Huge clutch and coast for the 4 machine right now with a lap traffic buffer in front.
Could this actually work out with Nicholas Corcel? Could we see him take his 2nd race win of his high time racing career? The first came at Michigan in the Gen 4s on July 14th last year. Scott Shire could look to be taking his 2nd race win on his 80th start.
This is going to be difficult though because Coruscant, even with the save, is getting a little bit quicker laps right now. The 4 just seems to be struggling across the seams here, coming to 3 laps to go.
Nicholas Coruscant, much like Scott Shire, he is also chasing his first ever win. His second ever win, high time racing competition, and his last win was in ARCA cars at this very track. So Coruscant seeking to go back to back. He's up top, looking for the top spot this time by down the back straightaway.
Keeping an eye on Coruscant at the moment. Don't think he's clutching coasting as hard. I think he's on his number. And that's going to provide a lot more pressure to 4, who needs to save an extra little bit here. 2 to go. Will Coruscant get enough wound up here? He's got Williams, who's lost ground as well. So it's down to these 2 for the win.
It's down between the 4 and the 40. 2 laps to go. Coruscant's caught Shire. Now he's got to try to get around him. And Austin McGill trying to fight his way through right in the middle of all of this as well. Shire continues to hold on. While Austin McGill looks to power around the 2 of them down low on fresh tires. Looking for 1 to go this time by.
And look at this with Coruscant. He keeps pushing on the high side. Not clutching. There goes the 4 low. Is he going to have to come down? He is getting passed.
Coruscant gets around Scott Shire for the race lane. 1 lap to go as we take the white flag. Does Scott Shire have enough to hold on to retain a podium? Coruscant put into the clutch as well. He still might not be secure as we come around in turn numbers 1 and 2. To the back straightaway for the final time. Working our way around the Auto Club Speedway in this 2-mile behemoth 1 more time. Nicholas Coruscant, his latest win came here at the Auto Club Speedway out of turn numbers 3 and 4. Looking for back-to-back wins. Scott Shire can't get there. As Shire starts to fade, Shire's out of fuel, and Coruscant wins his 2nd race of the High Tide Racing League, and both of them in Fontana.
He chose the right strategy. He played it right on the fuel number. He and Williams timed it up perfectly for their fuel to get to the end. Nicely done by the 40. Had enough fuel to be able to push and make that pass.
An unbelievable drive here this afternoon from Nicholas Coruscant, and a very well-fought and hard-earned win as the Auto Club Speedway, under the cover of darkness, will grow a little bit more quiet. And man, what a fight that we had here this afternoon. Coruscant can be proud of this one because he had to work for it, and Scott Shire running out of fuel out of turn 4 just couldn't give him the fight.
Well done indeed, and a lot of people trying to give some bump traps to save fuel or help those out of gas on the apron at one end of the racetrack. But Coruscant can use all the fuel he wants now. Looks like he's got plenty of it to burn it on down here.
I don't blame him. It's not every day that your 2nd win comes at the very same place where you took your maiden win just this past season. So as he celebrates down there, let's take a rundown of your official post-race results here this afternoon. It was a wild night that we had here from Fontana. A lot of attrition. We'll see Nicholas Coruscant take home the top spot alongside Scott Shire. Sean Williams comes home 3rd with Eddie Haggy back in 4th. Kevin Foster in 5th. Lacey in 6th. Thorpe, Nickerson, Walker, and Philbrick round out the top 10.
Then you have Ramos down in 11th with Hobbs, Marasco, McGill, Kilrow, and Hop amongst the top 16. Strategy didn't work out at all for the 00, it seems, after having great speed early on in the race. Connor Gibson, 17th, Brett Payne, and Wareham, the top 20.
Back to the second half of the field. James Yerger 2 down, along with Christopher Mixon. Then it's Paul Sapmary, Bob Barry, Mike Masco, William Clapp, Ryan Walker, Carter Phillips, Jonathan Campbell, and Scotty Stevens for the top 30.
31st went to Raymond with Marr down at 32nd. Bell, Wenzel's with some hard contact with Walker and Sikorsky. You also had Osborne, Rupek, along with Lakey. Once those in the back of the field, Wellman and Clemens did not take the green flag. Clemens did not get rolling here tonight.
And all of that will take us back around to the start-finish line here this afternoon, where we have managed to catch up with the top driver in an Old School Racers 1, 2, 3 complete podium shutout. And it starts off here with, of course, Nicholas Coruscant. Nick, a wild race that you had here this afternoon. Talk us through your afternoon, because this win did not come easy. Your teammate was giving you a fight for it.
Yeah, it was a great battle there. Scott, of course, being in Discord with me, was telling me he was short just a little bit on fuel. So luckily, when we came out of the pits on that last pit stop, I saved as much as I could. I was still a good gallon to the good there. So I knew if I pushed Scott, hopefully he'd run himself out, and he did.
Overall, an extremely intense race for you here this afternoon, and your second ever win in high tie racing competition. How does it feel to take that second win at the very same place where you got your first?
Yeah, it's a little surprising with the way the race started out. I got booted when that one of those early race over wrecks, and had about a minute of damage. Got it fixed, ran in the back for a while, and then just kept on filling up on fuel every single caution, and didn't expect it to go green like that, but it did, and it worked out in our favor.
So a race win here this afternoon, and a 17th coming in from Daytona. The first car one lap down from the Sunshine State in their season opener. With this win on the cards, top 12 in the points, do you think it's up for you?
Yeah, I think we'll be okay. These cars really benefit with the way I drive. I don't like the ARCA car. It doesn't have enough power. These things you can blow the tires off of. I'm really good at tire saving, so I feel like this is going to be a good season for us.
All right, we'll wish you the best of luck when we go racing next week in Nevada. Congratulations on taking home #1, and we will see you there.
Thank you, guys, and I'd like to thank Sean and Scott for coming with that strat late and helping us out get the win.
Nicholas Coruscant comes home #1 this afternoon, and Justin, you're standing by with Scott Shire, the driver that ran out of turn 4, coming to the line.
Yes, indeed, here as we get ready to see how things go. Scott, how would you describe things in the later stages? You were close. I believe you ran out of fuel on the pace on the final lap of the cool down.
Yeah, it was close. I was probably 30 feet before the finish line before I ran out, but I had to save so bad on those last couple laps just to make it. So it was close. I tried.
How difficult was it to save the fuel, because you had to come 2 laps earlier compared to the rest of the drivers you were racing in, around 1 to 2 laps earlier, I should say?
It wasn't really that bad. I mean, I was just clutching every corner. About mid corner, I would get on gas, and that was about it. So I wasn't really saving super hard, but it worked out.
So with that in mind here, your next race is going to be an interesting one on the schedule as we continue the West Coast Swing Believe. Here we have Vegas coming up. Once those on the schedule, your thoughts coming up to 1.5 miles now for the next few weeks?
Oh, I'm looking forward to it because I love these cars. These are probably my best cars on the service. So I'm looking forward to it.
Any shows you'd like to give here tonight?
Just you guys for putting on a good show, and Race Control for doing a good job, and my teammates. We all finished up in the top 3, so it was a good night for all of us.
Congratulations on the run.
Thank you.
Scott Shire in second tonight, Nolan.
And that will take us on down to 3rd place here this afternoon, where Sean Williams comes home at the tail end of a 1-2-3 podium lockout for Old School Racers. Sean, can't remember the last time we talked to you up here in the Green Flight TV booth. It's good to have you back.
It's good to be back. How you doing, Nolan?
I am doing stellar, and I imagine you're not doing so bad yourself. You nearly ran down Scott Shire as he was slowing dramatically coming out of turn 4 there. Do you reckon start-finish line another 60 feet down the road, you might have gotten him?
I don't know. The whole last 2 laps, he was very scared because he was almost out, and Kressel got by. And I don't know. It is cool though that we all got the top 3 for the team. And I'll tell you what, I would have been happy with just like a 10th. I'd have been like, okay, we're going in the right direction. So the podium is great, especially since I flew to the sun last week at Daytona.
Overall, a team 1-2-3 is not something we see every day on Green Flag TV, especially in a league this competitive. What does it mean for you and the rest of the Old School Racers crew that you lock out a podium here?
It's awesome. I think it was unexpected for all of us, and it kind of sucks that we didn't have Jaden up there too. But I mean, he normally finishes like first every week, so I think it's all right if the rest of us get up there. But yeah, it's awesome. Didn't expect it. Great strategy and the fuel and everything. We started off rough, but man, that race turned into a pretty wild one. Like just the strategy and everything. It's awesome.
Well, Las Vegas Motor Speedway is just around the corner. Old School Racers is looking strong in these Gen 4 cars. We'll see how you tackle the mile and a half next week.
Yeah, thank you very much. And thanks to everyone who's watching and admins putting on the league and our sponsor. Was it, oh my gosh, Ohio and Indiana Roofing. Did I get that right? Thank you so much. And yeah, I guess that's about it. Thanks, guys.
Well, you did indeed get it right. And that was Sean Williams bringing it up here, third place this afternoon. And Justin closing out a podium 1-2-3. A huge day for the team and a huge day for three drivers that we don't normally get to talk to on the podium. What a shakeup this race has had, right? This thing had just about everything in it.
Yeah, early caution flags, early troubles, fuel strategy, tire stints, the whole shebang here tonight. But in the very end, it came down to who was able to save the fuel the best, get to that fuel number, and be able to time things up to make some passes late. Coruscant did that perfectly, and that's why he's the one who's able to get the win tonight.
Well, before we get to more racing action here on Green Flag TV, there is still more set to come on up in the next few days. Coming on up on Green Flag TV, it's going to be yet another trip out to Auto Club tomorrow night for the Old Mesero Gold Series, where we see who will finish out as a champion. From there, the Mid-Atlantic Racing Series goes to Charlotte. PSR is back for more Michigan alongside the Beer League on Wednesday, with the Highline Diecast Collectible Speed Cup Series and Homestead Miami Speedway, where we will see who will be crowned a champion on Thursday nights in 2025 as well. Zero Dark Racing League is out in Georgia at the Echo Park Speedway, with VOR taking to their penultimate round of their 14th season at the Milwaukee Mile on Saturday, alongside more for the SRA Super Speedway Blitz. If you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. As always, my name is Little Remple alongside Justin Prince. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll see you all when we go racing next week at America's Gambling Capital.